everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Monday Moments with Moon. I'm here on the Hypixel server doing some parkour while I chat to you guys about another pretty in-depth topic, meaning once again that this is not for the younger audiences, and that you should of course ask your parents, or have your parents watch the video first, I should say, and get permission from them to see if you are allowed to watch it. So yeah, I'm doing the parkour yes map here, created by Rumstead. I'm going to assume that's who that is. And I'm going to be chatting to you about a bit of personal for me, a bit about my love life and my views on relationships. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for today's chat, I want to share with you about my own dating life and some of the ideas I have on purity, dating, and choosing a husband. So to start off with, I want to talk about the fact that I wear a purity ring. This is a ring that my dad got me for my 16th birthday, and it's a silver ring with 5 hearts on it. 3 of the hearts have diamonds in it, and the other 2 are pink gold. Each one of the diamond hearts represents to me a promise I made when it comes to my love life. The first promise was to my mother, and that was that I would save my first kiss for my wedding day. I know that this is a bit extreme, even for a Christian, so I would not be surprised at all if people would think this decision on my part as a strange one. But the reason I made this promise was that I didn't want my dating life to be based anyway on the physical. I didn't want physical attraction to have any role in me deciding who I want to spend the rest of my life with. I wanted that to be based on a guy's commitment to God, his personality, likes, and interests, as well as his plans for the future. To me, those are the things that matter, and when things get physical, I feel like they can get in the way of building friendships with the person you're interested in dating. So I just removed it from the table completely. On a side note, it's also a great revealer of a guy's intentions towards you. They get upset with you for not wanting to kiss and say there's no point in a relationship if you're not willing to do that, then they probably aren't that great of a guy. The next diamond heart represents a promise to my father that I already completed, and that was that I would wait until I was 18 till I would even consider dating. He used to joke that he wanted it to be 21, and as I'm already 20 and have no plans to date at the moment, it does look like his wish is coming true. But in all seriousness, I didn't find much point in young relationships, as life happens and it's extremely rare those relationships work out, without there being a lot of heartache on the way. These relationships also often become more about the drama than people actually liking each other, or more about what other people think you should be doing, and about what you really want to do. Now there is this whole argument that people used to get married really young, but people forget that at that time, travel wasn't much of a thing. You often knew the same people your entire life, so it made sense to marry that person. Also, they didn't really date, they courted, and relationships back then were about finding a partner who would aid you in life and be a companion, not about who is the cutest couple. Young relationships also don't make much sense to me, as you tend to rarely know the person you're dating. To me, your partner should be your best friend, someone you respect above any other person and trust completely. And I don't feel you can build that kind of relationship at such a young age, especially if you're dating multiple people a year or basing your relationship simply on looks or popularity. I have no plans to date someone who I don't know, and if I do date someone, it'll be someone who I was friends with first. The final diamond heart is the most important one to me because it represents the promise I made to God. I promised him that I would let him pick the guy and the time, and that I would not act unless I was sure that it was what God wanted me to do. This has by far been the hardest of the 3 promises to keep, because there have been times when an amazing Christian guy who I was great friends with would ask me out, and I'd have to tell them no, because I knew that it wasn't the right time, or that God had different plans for us that we couldn't do if we became a couple. But I've never had any regrets for making those decisions, because my trust in God doesn't allow for them. I always find myself at peace afterwards, knowing that God would reward my faithfulness to Him one day when he sends the right guy at the right time. And even if he never does, I'm still at peace because I know that it's because God has another plan for me that he knows I can only complete if I was single, and that plan will be more fulfilling to me than any relationship ever could be. I guess the biggest takeaway from these promises I had made was that dating shouldn't ever be a physical thing. God always planned for marriage to go beyond the physical and into the spiritual. It was about finding someone who can grow your faith. For a girl, it's about finding a guy who loves you and knows how to lead. For a guy, it's about finding a girl who respects you and will become your greatest helper in life. To me, things like sex and even kissing is something that is so intimate and personal that should be saved for the person you know will be your forever best friend. This might seem like a weird analogy, but I want to compare it to cursing. A curse word is a very powerful thing when rarely used. If someone never curses, but then does so in a certain situation, then those around that person know that this situation is a serious one, or that this person has been hurt or is hurting in an unimaginable way. It's the same with saving your sex for only one person. It allows it to become a deep spiritual thing that deepens and strengthens a relationship. If someone curses constantly, then people are going to become numb to their use of curse words. So when that person does experience that deep pain and is searching for the right word to use, they won't have it. They will lose their ability to express that emotion. It's the same way with sex. If someone has sex with multiple people, then it will mean nothing when they do find that one person to whom they want to spend the rest of their life with. They will lose their ability to express that deep intimacy. For that reason, it would take an extreme situation for me to ever use a curse word, and I'll only ever have sex after I'm married. I do want to take a moment and talk about the idea of purity. I'm someone who believes purity should be something valued by both girls and guys. I also believe that purity is something that cannot be forced away from someone. If someone is forced into an intimate situation against their will, then that person is still pure. They cannot and should not be held responsible for the sin and cruelty of others. I also believe that purity is something that can be reestablished, even after it's lost. I believe when someone enters into a new relationship with God, that God gives them back the purity they once had. When Jesus died on the cross, he erased every sin of every person who chooses to put their trust in him, and that includes the sin of giving away your purity against the will of God. God grants you second chances and third chances and even 1,000th chances, and all you have to do is ask. In summary, I believe that marriage and dating is not a physical thing, but about finding someone you trust and love and who has similar dreams and desires to yourself. I also believe it's always better to rate with the relationships rather than to rush into them, and to form a friendship first. I know with everything in me that the best person to help you find your best friend in this world is your best friend who created the world. God should be the first person you go to when it comes to anything going on in your life, including love. To me, sex is something special that loses its power if not saved for that one person you plan to spend the rest of your life with. And finally, purity is something that should be valued by everyone, something that cannot be forced away from you, and something that God can restore in you if you ask Him to. I'm going to end this episode here at level 36, where there's apparently a lot of ducks, which is by far one of the weirdest levels, so, I guess it's a good place to stop. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you guys learned something from it. I'm going to be ending this series next week with the last video on my thoughts of gay marriage and stuff like that, so I hope you'll join me for that episode, and I also hope you have a beautiful and blessed day, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye! Ooh, that does something weird.